Hello, this is Valerie Aiello, and you're listening to IdeaDiary. Thanks for coming back to my office, and thanks for hanging out. I came across Helena Bonham Carter, in this weird world of being super creative and slowing down and all that stuff. I was watching a video of her talking about her favorite poems. So she was just reading this poem, which is called Warning by Jenny Joseph. And I don't know, I just thought it was so cute, and it definitely sparked some idea in my mind that I should maybe check out some poetry books. I know when I was in high school, I was really into poetry, and at that time it was like Henry Rollins was releasing poetry books. Just there were people that were making modern poetry, and I remember there being poems inside of magazines and different things. Poetry just wasn't song lyrics. It seemed like back in the day of the 90s. And I know there's some YouTubers and stuff like that have released poetry books. It's cute. I really like short stories. I like poems, but poems have been on the back burner for many, many years, I think. So I feel like bringing poetry reading back could be something new in my life. Anyways, so I just wanted to read the poem to y'all. And okay, so this is Warning by Jenny Joseph. When I am an old woman, I shall wear purple, with a red hat which doesn't go and doesn't suit me. And I shall spend my pension on brandy and summer gloves and satin sandals and say we've no money for butter. I shall sit down on the pavement when I'm tired and gobble up samples in shops and press alarm bells and run my stick along the public railings and make up for the sobriety of my youth. I shall go out in my slippers in the rain and pick flowers in other people's gardens and learn to spit. You can wear terrible shirts and grow more fat and eat 3 pounds of sausages at a go, or only bread and pickle for a week, and hoard pens and pencils and beer mats and things in boxes. But now, we must have clothes that keep us dry and pay our rent and not swear in the street and set a good example for the children. We must have friends to dinner and read the papers. But maybe I ought to practice a little now, so people who know me are not too shocked and surprised when suddenly I'm old and start to wear purple. I guess it's a famous British poem. I thought if that poem sparked something in me, it might spark something in you. So there's a video of this woman reading the poem. I'll put it in the description of the show so you can go watch it. So she's like this cute British woman. That was mainly what I wanted to talk about today, was this poem. I don't know. I feel like that goes a lot with what my message is, which is doing whatever you want. And that could mean that you have a job or you have no job. That's up to you. I think you could be an entrepreneur and still have a job. It has nothing to do with that. I think we're all capable of like tons of multitasking, and you can take a risk. You can be somebody that's risky, or you can be safe and have backup plans beyond backup plans. I don't think there's any rules, but following your passion and what you really want inside, I think that's the only rule. I think filling your day up with stuff you don't want to do is the killer. And not being afraid to try something and to figure out you don't like it. I think that's one thing people feel bad about, like taking risk and then realizing, oh, this really sucks. Like, why did I want this? I think that happens a lot. And then you're stuck in this totally different realm of, it's not a job you hate, but it's a job you created. And then you realize you hate it. That happens a lot to entrepreneurs. They buy themselves a job and they think it's like a lot of freedom, but it's just buying yourself a job. And then not only do you have all the stress of trying to make money on top of having this job you don't like, that's when you just decide, I think if I just went back to a company and collected a paycheck and did my work, that would be a much easier life. So you got to pivot. You got to take some chances, but you don't have to risk everything. You don't have to quit everything. But I mean, maybe I'm lucky, but for me, I just went for it all, But I did have all these skills that I can always use as a backup plan if I ever decide, oh, this is really hard to try to make products and try to make money. I can always go back to client work, which hopefully I never do, but it's honestly fun client work. So it's not that bad. So even I have weird backup plans. Picking something to do that you really want to do or you want to try, I think it's kind of important to pick something that you would do for free for 10 years. I think people don't really understand that sometimes you have to do something for 10 years before it becomes successful. And sometimes you don't even get to make money in that 10-year period. So a lot of comics, they don't make money for a very long time. And then they make a boatload, which is fantastic. I think not all things that people choose when you're an entrepreneur and you're trying to make your money without a paycheck, but there's a lot of them that it's years and years and years of not really making money, and sometimes years of failing and losing money on top of not making money, that it's, a lot of people don't get that. But there's some people who might lose $1 million and make a huge mistake, but that losing that $1 million takes them to the next level to make 10 million. And then sometimes you lose it again, and then it takes you to the next level to make $1 billion. So it's, I'm being hyperbolic, but I'm just saying in general, mistakes can bring you lots of success. So it's really no big deal. And just don't forget, you can change careers, and you can have different careers at different stages of life. So there are things, when I was in my 20s, I lived in LA and I had a band and I wanted to work on record labels and be Xanadu. And then I have I keep all my goals on one sheet of paper so I can always look at it. But I definitely have I want to sell paintings when I'm in my 50s and 60s and kind of take that career, try out that career at that time. I don't really want to be a painter right now, but right now I paint my paintings and I kind of put them up in local furniture shops to see if people like them and want to buy them. And sometimes I do and sometimes I don't. And it's kind of like a no stress hobby right now, but really I'm building my skills slowly, because in 10 or 20 years, I'll have all the skills and I'll be ready to go to possibly have that, whatever exists by then. I don't know. But I feel like paintings and artwork have been a successful piece of, just products. They've been a successful product since the beginning of time, and they've held their value. So I think it's fun. I like painting. So, that's something that I'm going to do later, but I'm still working on it now, just not at extreme speeds or something, and not all the time. It's just fun to think and to try, and it doesn't have to be risky. And the riskiest thing is to not try and to have regret. So as long as you're not feeling like you're going to regret something, and by not trying, I think you're fine. Trying and failing is way better than regret. So the other thing I wanted to talk about was the new Marilyn Manson album is out this month. And I kind of saw that he released a he always acts like the next record's the greatest record to ever happen to records. He's a lot of confidence. Brian Warner from Marilyn Manson. So the new album is called We Are Chaos, and it's not something, I kind of did a quick listen through every song, and the one thing that I noticed was this really isn't a metal album or a heavy rock record. It seemed like he's slowing down a bit, and not in a he's getting old kind of annoying way. It definitely feels like he just kind of wanted to try like a slow goth kind of album, and it's still a rock album, but it's definitely a little bit slower, a little bit like a Bauhaus type of thing where he's going back to some, I don't know, he's just, I felt like he was really trying to sing well, which I wouldn't necessarily consider that a Marilyn Manson trait, but it seemed like he was really singing. And the one thing that just instantly reminded me of like a Bauhaus, like a Bela Lugosi's Dead type of vibe. So, I don't know, slow, romantic, goth, 80s. I don't know what you would call that. But definitely a Peter Murphy kind of vibe. So, there are some Peter Murphy songs that I would consider kind of pop hits. And one of them is Cuts You Up. And another one is a song called Strange Kind of Love. And I'm going to link in the description, in the show description below. So I think you should just go listen to Strange Kind of Love by Peter Murphy in case you haven't listened to it a while. And then listen to the new Marilyn Manson song called Broken Needle. And I think you'll see what I mean. So there's this kind of like 80s pop goth vibe, and it's kind of slow, but it's not lame. It did not suck. I don't know how good it is yet, so I'm going to have to listen to it a couple more times if I ever do. I'm not sure, but I definitely found it interesting just in general for the new rock albums coming out. So I don't want to say that all the new music sucks now, because I don't think that, but there's been definitely something lacking in how good everything is. So I think when I try to think back, like 2007, we had Interpol and The Killers and like all these bands were all making pretty good albums and pretty good music, and they were hits on the radio, and they were popular. Everyone loved them. It wasn't like this underground music thing, because I don't think, I mean, that still happens today, but it's, I don't know. There's a lot of music to listen to. I'll just say that. So things can go under the radar for a very long time, but at the same time, things can come to you super fast. Someone can make a song in their bedroom tonight, and next week you're listening to it on Spotify, millions of people. So there's this weird thing that's happening with, it's very hard to find good music, and everything's in your face instantly. So I don't know what's happening, but I'm definitely, with the new Dixie Chicks album, with this new Marilyn Manson album, there's something happening with 2020 that a creative thing is happening. And there has been a lull. You're welcome to disagree with me. But something has been missing from about 2010 to 2020. There's like a decade of, and I feel like it started slowing down in the beginning of 2000s, but there was like this last push of like really good music that came out. And then something happened. Maybe it was all underground and I just don't know where it was. That's certainly possible, but something felt missing. And I feel like 2020 stuff's coming back. Music is going to get real good. I feel like movies are going to get real good. I feel like movie theaters are not going to last much longer. However, and David Lynch said the art cinema is dead, pretty much. And he would know, because he could be making a lot of money off of art cinema if he wanted to be. But I feel like movies are going to get good again, because nobody's going to invest in crappy stuff anymore just to churn out stuff because everyone's listening or watching 30-year-old shows on Netflix instantly, or watching, I'm starting to watch movies again and give myself time for that, but I'm like sticking around the 1940s period. If you follow me on Twitter, I only post the vintage movies that I watch or that I find for free on YouTube. So my Twitter is kind of like my little TV guide of movies I watched and how I can quickly go watch them again, or send somebody the link to that movie. So you can follow me on Twitter from that, but I don't do anything else on Twitter except it's my little vintage movie TV guide. Anyways, I wanted to read the poem today, and I wanted to talk about the new Marilyn Manson album, and I think that's pretty much it. So the show's over, and I will see you later. And I still don't know how to end the show, so I'm just going to play the music.